If you want to continue to follow our adventure, click subscribe. So you don't miss anything, click the bell notification. Well, I am filtering drinking water through my Berkey system. I do this on a regular basis. I dip water out of the bucket. It's just any water that I can find, and I fill the Berkey. So I use the Berkey water filter to filter all kinds of water. The Berkey water filter is, in my opinion, one of the best filters that you can have, and I've made lots of videos about the Berkey. I don't think I would ever live this lifestyle without it. It, in my opinion, is one of the biggest things that you have to live a nomadic lifestyle. There are so many unknown drinking sources, and even if you do go to a national forest, for example, they test the water monthly. I see them do it all the time. Yet you open up that spigot and rust just pours out of it. I mean, it's orange. You can use the Berkey for stream water. They actually advertise it, use stream water, and it filters out all kinds of bacteria. I mean, the worst bacteria you can think of. The list is endless of the things that it removes: chemicals, fertilizers, and I strongly suggest that if you're going to boondock, that you have a Berkey water filtration system for drinking water. Coffee, don't forget about coffee. And the reason I say coffee, I mean, a lot of people say, well, if you boil your water, it's okay. Not necessarily, because you still have those chemicals. The fertilizers and all those things can still get into your water. And the rust. Oh, I remember during the fire, we were putting out the fire, and of course the Berkey burned up in the fire. And so we needed to get some drinking water. So we took it out of the National Forest drinking water spigot that they tested monthly. And the water was undrinkable. It was just, it tasted so terrible with all that rust. To show you what I do, the upper chamber here, I've talked about this, is the chamber that the dirty water goes into. There's two filters here. And so it's a gravity drain. So the water drains from this into the bottom section. You will see that I have a water cooler here. I just let that drain in there. That way I can travel around. I always, when I'm filtering, instead of just letting this drain all the way down, I always fill it, keep it all the way full above the filters. That way the entire filter is being used the entire time. If you don't, I notice that the filters wear out a lot faster, because as it drains down, less and less of the filter is being used. So that means that down here, the filter is filtering out twice as much water as the filter does up here. So if you keep it full, the entire filter is being used the entire time. Little tricks to preserve your filter. Now, the filters can last up to 6 years. Amazing filter. Do your research on this. There's other filtration systems like this. Now, I'm not going to show you all the tips and tricks on how to do this. I do have a video on that, and I'll put a link to that video here. You got to clean the filters regularly. Depends on the flow rate is what I base it on. If it starts to slow down on me even a little bit, you take a Scotch greenie, you know, those scrub pads, and you clean the filter. I've even learned how to clean the filters without even taking the filters off anymore. I've recently learned something, and I want to make sure I share it with you. The Berkey is really good at all the things that I've talked about filtering out. It's amazing, and I won't be a nomad without it. But I recently learned, based on a few viewers' comment, that it doesn't always filter out viruses. So if you're taking water out of a stream, it's going to filter out all the things I said. But if it has a virus in there, it won't filter that out. What it is viruses are much smaller than bacteria. And so apparently the virus cannot attach itself to the carbon filter of the Berkey or other types of filtration systems. There are hikers that use these systems similar to like this. The CDC, which is a government entity here in the United States, Centers for Disease Control, they've done a study and they recognize it didn't filter out virus. Every other category, the CDC says it does a great job, use it, but viruses it doesn't. So different viruses that you can get is, for example, the CDC says enterovirus, hepatitis A, neurovirus, rotavirus. When you go to the bathroom in the National Forest, you're supposed to dig a hole 200 feet away from water sources. Well, of course, people don't follow that rule, and so these water sources can transfer whatever viruses they have into the water. So what the CDC is suggesting, and this is, I'm just going on what the CDC is suggesting. So they're saying boil the water, use chlorine or iodine to kill the viruses, the ones that the Berkey can't pull out. Well, you do that, now you're introducing chemicals into your system. So the only real reliable source is boiling. Of course, you still got the fertilizers and all of those chemicals that the boiling didn't take out. So you're still going to have to use the Berkey to take those out. The problem is if you boil water, you're not supposed to put hot water on the Berkey. So you end up letting that water cool for hours and hours just to get it to a temperature where you can put it through the Berkey, because it's supposed to be around room temperature. So that leaves iodine and chlorine. Well, iodine I don't know anything about. I think chlorine, in my opinion, is the best solution to the entire problem. If you're going to take water out of a stream, first thing you need to do is put chlorine in it. Bleach, regular household bleach. And what you do is for every gallon of water you put in a 1/4 of a teaspoon of bleach in it. And it will kill all the bacteria. Now, it won't remove the fertilizers and the dirt. Remember, the stream water has dirt in it, mercury, lead. It won't do any of that. But the Berkey will. So you put chlorine in it, you filter it through the Berkey, and it removes chlorine and all those other contaminants that the chlorine didn't kill. So chlorine kills the virus. The Berkey will take care of everything else and the chlorine. Thanks for watching. Click like if you like the video, and happy travels.